Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am Paolo, also known as Genoma on Instagram and here on YouTube. Today we are going to look at something that I've been requested before, and it's going to be a very short tutorial, but in some of the videos that I posted before and in the one I'm posting on Instagram, you can see that sometimes, or most of the times, I'm using this sort of chromatic aberration effect on my videos. So today we are going to look at how to recreate that effect. I will make available the pre-made tool that I created, which is called Chromatic Aberration tool. And so this will be available on my Buy Me a Coffee if you feel like contributing to what I'm doing, and if you like my videos and want to help me out, you can go and grab it there. It's gonna be fully fledged and complete with all the parameters that you see here on this panel. But today we are going to also recreate it mostly from scratch. So we will not implement all the features, but again, yeah, we're gonna create it from scratch. So as you can see here, I created an example. It works with all sorts of video input. Basically, you can feed your render output directly into the base here. You can start playing around with basically how much separation you want between the channels. You can play around in the order in which the channels are separated and so on. And there is a convenient distortion factor slider, so if you play around with these values and to the extreme, you can always tune it down proportionally for all of them, which I think is very useful. As you can see, it works with transparent images. It works also with any sort of other video. On top of that, let's maybe set it to this one, which is a little bit more relaxing. Yeah, we can also decide how much blur to apply to the edges of the image. We're basically trying to sort of simulate somewhat what a lens would do, and especially a crappy lens. So yeah, built in also we will have and we'll add the noise, so we can easily add noise to your output. Of course, this can be turned down to 0 at any time, and also different values for that noise. So for example, and probably this is gonna completely be invisible to you on YouTube, but it just adds this grain to the output, which I think is very cool and allows for like some more analog effect. The grain can also be completely can be animated or static, and also works with color grain in both version, animated and static. I also wanted to add some sort of extra stuff, which is basically if you have a very cheap and crappy plastic lens, this would have maybe some distortion on the edges. So I just added like an extra kind of layer of details here, where you can basically set this distortion on the edges. It can be extreme, so maybe I wouldn't go there, but anyways, and that one also is influenced by the same kind of layer that influences the blur. So the more blur or the bigger the blur is going to be, or the kind of closer to the center, the distortion will follow the same mask, let's say. And then finally, I also added a vignette, so we can kind of bring it to the maximum here, and then you can see how you can set like a vignette around the image. For transparent images, and this is the last thing before we jump into it, I also added the possibility to quickly add a background, and you can sort of change the color here to whatever you want. And that's it. Let's jump into it. I can show you internally how it's done and what we're gonna do. There is some extra stuff that we most likely are not gonna make in this tutorial or create, because it's connected to kind of the parameters and how they're imported and distributed along the different tops here. But what we're gonna use is basically the lens distort top which has parameters here that we can play around with and create that separation. Yeah, adding the blur with LumeBlur and so on. One other thing that I forgot to mention is that also we have, let me set back, actually I can, so the tool comes with a preloaded video from Touchdesigner, of course. And we can also add, I also added like dry wet mix, so that sometimes you, especially if you look at examples of lenses having this kind of distortion, they will sometimes not be fully blurred in a way. You still see the sharp image, but yeah. So without further ado, let's just jump into it and let's create it from scratch. I'm gonna just create here a null that I'm gonna bring into my base, right? And let me switch here to this video instead. All right, select the null, right click outside and collapse selected. We can rename this to Chromatic Aberration. Enter. Let's bring this out here, and let's start by bringing in immediately the transform, where we can set this to 1, and this is going to be what we trigger to create, if we have a transparent image, to add the background in the back. And as I'm going along, I will also try to add all the parameters directly into the parent component. So you can right click and customize parent component, and I'll try to keep this here. I already made a mistake. This is the second time I'm recording this video, and the first time I hid this behind my own picture and I didn't notice until the end. So I will keep it here, and I want to start bringing in some values. So for once, I'm gonna bring in this. I can drag and drop it in this area, and this drop down menu will pop out. Click on set reference expression. This will basically create a link directly between this parameter and this value over here. So we can just, yeah, I can probably leave the label as it is right now. And if we right click here and show open parent parameters, now we can go here on transform. In this case, we can rename this. I can call it settings perhaps. And yeah, so we're gonna have this, and you can see that when I toggle this one, this toggles as well. Great. I also want to import what color I want my background to be, and that's pretty much it. So now we can't really see it. If I bring in the movie file in with the banana and I drag it in, of course you can see that. If I open this, now we are already able to control inside the base with our custom panel here. Good. Let's start to implement directly the distortion. So I'm looking for lens distort here, and we want to apply distortion separately to different channels. So I'm gonna copy this 3 times. So this is gonna be for the red, the green, and the blue. And then at the end here, I'm gonna add a reorder, where basically we are bringing back the things together. So I will add them to the input 1, 2, and 3, or 0, 1, 2. And then here we're gonna bring it select. Basically for the green we want the second input, for the blue we want the third input. Good. In order to use this, you can see that if we drag the K1 the K1 slider, you're gonna already start to see the effect working. Now we don't want to bring it in the positive. We want to have a value that goes from 0 to some negative number. In this case, we're gonna just use 0 and -1. So for this, in the same way, I'm gonna drag it in here, set reference. I want to have this at the top, and I'm gonna rename red distortion, rename it with this name. And in the settings here, we can set the minimum value to 0 and the maximum value to, or yeah, -1. Perfect. We can do the same for the other two. So also K1 imported here. Yes, I hope you are still able to see everything. Yes. Rename this to green distortion. I am realizing that I'm just dyslexic, I think. Distortion. Okay, so let's go in here and do the same. So -1 and 0. Perfect. And again, let's try it. Yes, it works. So perfect. Let's do like that. And then finally, let's bring in the blue. Let's rename it blue distortion. And exactly the same here as well. Good. So now I have control over the blue channel as well. That is perfect. I want to add a new parameter, which is the kind of the slider that will control all of them at the same time. So I'm gonna create a slider called distortion factor and add it. Perfect. I want it to be at the top. We can also select this parameter here and set the selection section to on, so it's going to create a separation there. And then this value here is already set as we want it. We just want the default to be 1, because we want basically to take this value here and multiply these values all by the same number. How to do that? In order to bring in the parameter, we just take a chop parameter here, or parameter chop, and I'm gonna select that one out, so distortion factor, and then just in case I'm gonna bring out a null, and then I'm gonna call this factor. Perfect. And now I can go in here and multiply this by, and we go and grab the value basically. Operator factor, and then the channel, I'm just gonna pick the first one. And perfect, now nothing changes, but as you can see, if I change this one, the value is brought down to 0. And what we need to do now is just copy this expression here and paste it into the other one. 1 and 2 here. Perfect. So now if I go into my parameters here and I kind of drag them out to the extreme, or like I really add a dramatic effect to this distortion, I can then tune everything down by sliding this, and I can go back down to 0 or somewhere in between. This is especially good when you don't have you know, when you have like maybe very strange disposition or yeah, of these values, and you want to tune them down equally. I will leave it roughly like this for now, and like that. Perfect. Now what do we want to do? We want to we want to add the blur. So let me see. I have the example over here, so I remember what to do. Yes. So I can take from the input directly. Yeah, I think that's okay. I want to press Option or Alt, Option, click, and or yes, is it? Okay, Option, right click, and take a ramp. So this ramp, we want to set it to set resolution only, and we want it to be circular. Now you can see we have this edge around. That's not what we want. We want to set that to so extend left to hold. And basically we're gonna use this mask, this texture as a mask, basically, where the white is gonna be more blurred and the black is gonna be sort of sharp. If we tweak the period, we are gonna increase the size of this gradient, basically. We also want to set this to ease in and ease out. So basically, as you can see, we can kind of have quite a lot of control over this mask. For now, we can do that, and then we can take the output of our reorder and add Luma blur. This top here, it's pretty cool because it allows you to blur different parts of the image in different ways, or to different degree. And as you can see here, we have a black filter and a white filter width. Means that how much should I blur when it's where it's black, and how much should I blur where it's white. So we want this blur amount to be a value that we are able to control. And yes, so we can start with that. So we can drag it in here, and we can drag it underneath K3 and set this, rename this to blur amount. And the value we can leave it like it is, so from 1 to 100. And you can already start to see that if I drag this up, the edges here are starting to become more blurry. But we also want to control how big this this mask is. So I want to drag this blur amount, this blur size, we're gonna call it blur size, right above the amount. I will rename it to blur size. Yes. And we can probably leave this to, I think, yeah, you can decide, of course, how much you want it to be. But I will set it now from 0 to 1 and default. Yeah, I forgot to connect it, so I need to redo it again. Sorry about that. So I can drag it in, set the reference, but I need to rename it again. Blur size. Okay, and now if I change this, I can see that if I bring it down, maybe we don't want to go this much, so we can probably set the minimum to 1, and the maximum can be again 4. Okay, so that's perfect. You can see how we maybe want to control how sharp this mask is. And in order to do that, usually what I do is I take a function. I think you can also use like a level with a contrast, of course. Yeah, so we can then select here function RGB and set this to power to the exponent. And basically by controlling that this exponent value, you can see how the fall off changes quite a lot, and it can become very sharp here. So we're gonna keep it to a maximum of minimum of 1, and then bring it up to maybe 10 or 15. Okay, so I'm gonna bring that value, that exponent value, in here underneath my blur amount. I forgot to connect it. Perfect. I'm gonna call this blur falloff. And set the minimum to 1, the default to 2, no, also to 1 actually, and then this one to, yeah, let's leave it to 10. And again, you can change this value as you want. I also want to select my blur size and set this as a section as well. So we have a section for our distortion, a section for our blur. And yeah, we're pretty much done. As I said, it was a very short tutorial. I'm gonna delete this null, we don't really need it. And then finally I wanted to just bring in the noise as I showed you earlier. Here we go. So the noise needs to be set to input plus noise. That is the easiest way to do this. We can bring this down to 0, and then this will determine our size. And I'm sorry for YouTube, this is probably gonna be completely butchered, but it's okay for now. So we're gonna control the amount of blur with the amplitude, the roughness with the exponent, and the size of it with the period. So let's just bring in those values. Now I want to have them underneath the blur falloff here. So let's start with the size. Perfect. I'm gonna noise size and set this to section as well. And then we want to have the minimum to 0.001. We don't want to go all the way to 0. And the maximum to 0.01, I think that should be enough. But again, you can tweak those values as much as you want. Perfect. Maybe actually I want the amplitude to be the first of our value. So always set it to reference, noise amount. Set this to section, then we can remove this from here. So here is our noise section. Noise amount, this can be, I think actually this is good. We can have it at 0, and yeah, we could stop at 0.5. So I'm gonna set this maximum value to 0.5. And we are good to go. Perfect. Finally, I want to add the roughness. So I'm gonna import the exponent. The default should be 1, and this one, I think actually this is also already good. I'm gonna rename it to noise roughness. Roughness. I hope that's spelled correctly. All right, perfect. So then I can, no, roughness, like that. Okay, yeah, okay, no, we don't want to go all the way to 0. We can probably stop at 0.5, I guess. So let me set this to 0.5. Perfect. And the default would be 1. Okay, so let's reset this parameter to the default. Okay, there is something weird here. Noise size is the default is 1. That's definitely not what we want. The default should be 0.01 maybe, or even smaller actually, 0.05, something like this. And the noise roughness, noise size. You can see how this one will not make a big difference when you go too low anyways. Oh yeah, but then this one, let's set this one. Okay, I'm having some troubles here. Amplitude, this one is incorrect. Okay, 0.01. All right. Maybe 0.5. Let's check that everything is fine. Again, it's not a big problem. You're gonna set your based on your preferences anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The cool thing about this is that as you increase the noise roughness here and then increase the noise amount, It gives off a different effect where, and I don't know if you can really see, but it creates some more sharp specks, which gives even more analog effect, which I really like. Anyways, this said, let's finally animate these. I also want to be able to add the monochrome or color noise basically. So again, I'm gonna bring that in, connect it, and then say color noise here, give it a label, color noise. So now if we switch this, you can see that now or I hope you can see, but well, the noise it has become a color noise. Good. Finally, the animation of the noise. Now you could connect it directly to the frame value, like with abs time dot seconds or frame or whatever you want, but we want to control it as well. So a way I found quite useful to do it is add or an efficient, because I've understood, or I've learned that that number, if you have like an installation that goes on for a long time, the amount of milliseconds from the beginning of the program running can become very big and could create issues. So a good alternative is to use speed. So I'm gonna add a constant, connect it to a speed. Now the constant, we want to set it to 1, and as you can see, this number will start now increasing. But what we can do is at any time we can always pulse it, so make it start from the 0 again, which is pretty good. And we can also pause it. I'm gonna add a null and call this maybe seed. And so what I want now is to connect this value here to the noise seed. And you can see, or again, you should be able to see, but this now the noise is changing every frame. In order to control that, I can then bring in the reset value there, and I can put it above the mono, set it as a reference, and then animate noise. I'm renaming it like that. And basically what this does is when I toggle it on, we are basically toggling on this toggle, which keeps resetting it to 0 basically for every frame. So it basically is always a different sorry, it's always going to 0, and so it means that it's gonna always show the same noise. That's what I was trying to say. All right, so that's it. I think we are done now. So if we go out, I can now take my base here, and I have all these parameters that I can tweak and control my chromatic aberration. Yeah, so add some extra spice to your visuals. I'm noticing now that maybe something is not quite working as it should. Let me see. Oh no, okay, it is working, yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So as I said, I am making available this tool with some extra functionality on my Buy Me a Coffee. If you like the videos I'm making and you want to support me, that's a very good way of doing it. It's just the cost of coffee or beer or whatever you want. Yeah, it would help me a lot. Also, of course, don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram. If you have any questions, reach out. If you have any requests for tutorials or other things, please reach out as well. I'm always happy to help out and to just have new ideas for content. And yeah, with that, thank you very much and see you next time. Bye.